Good evening, everyone. This video is going to be a support session and trading review for March the 2nd, 2022. It's Wednesday evening. I'm going to go as usual, kind of go through kind of the news that we were looking at today. I mean, the market has been kind of back and forth. Everybody's worried about the Russian invasion of Ukraine. That's been going back and forth, as well as what does that mean for the interest rates. And so that was of some concern as well. Powell was testifying today, and we'll go through that in just a second. But as you can see, before Powell's testimony, right, we did have a little bit of news. Whoops, let's see, I need to go back a little bit for today. Okay. So at well, actually, before 5:30, we had ADP, non-farm employment change, which came in at kind of a positive number, and then Bullard was speaking some, and then the real scenario was Chairman Powell was testifying, and he those things are usually kind of boring, but a little bit later on he kind of let it slip. Yeah, but it's completely within this particular Fed's mode of operation. They're pretty conservative. They kind of broadcast what they're going to do ahead of time, and they don't want to surprise anybody. So what he kind of confirmed today, because everybody was saying, well, maybe they're not going to raise interest rates since the economy, inflation is still pretty bad. Inflation might get pretty even worse now that gas prices are going up because of the Russian oil exports are going to be declining. Pretty good chance we're going to block their oil imports, at least in the United States. I think other countries are as well. And so prices of oil have been going up around the world, and therefore gas. But he kind of put his take on it and says, yes, it still looks like it's appropriate to raise interest rates in March. It looks like it's going to be 25 basis points. No, because there's a lot of speculation that it's going to be 50 basis points. So he kind of confirmed it's going to be 25 basis points, and they're going to come up with a plan, but not yet implemented, to start rolling off the balance sheet on the mortgage-backed securities and the bonds that they have been buying. So pretty calm, no big surprises, no monumental changes. They're kind of recognizing that inflation is going to be a little hot this year, right? And it may not be back to their 2% target rate until 2024. So they are expecting it to calm down, right? But it's still not necessarily going to be calm, I would say. He's saying it should be under 3% in the next couple of years, and then the 2 something in 2023. Then maybe hit the 2% target in 2024. So the market kind of liked it. It kind of responded to that, and made a new high and a higher close, even though it sold off a little bit at the end. So let's just kind of take a look, just so we get a feeling for that. This is today so far. So see, it kind of reversed around. So this is how it ended today. And it's kind of staying up there so far. So the market kind of liked what he was saying, and that scenario. So the other thing I was going to do today, and I mentioned I made a change to my minute-based charts, and just in the interest of speed. So I'm going to go through, detach, and drag over my 5-minute chart. This is my 5-minute chart, and the change that I made, the only change I made on this chart is as follows. I turned the sound off on the outside bar, right? So that when I get an outside bar trend change, it's going to be coming from the 2-minute chart. So sound equals to false, right? So this is the 5-minute chart. On the outside bar, trend change 1.3, hit format on the input section, I put sound equal to false. All right. And then let me drag this one over on my 2-minute chart, which I've told you guys I use. I mean, I don't stare at these things, but it's useful to kind of look back and see where the longer term pivots are. So this is a little bit bigger. This one kind of goes across my upper monitor some. So and I have a couple of other indicators on this just to kind of duplicate what we have with the 5-second chart. But just to make the sound change, right? Highlight the outside bar, trend change 1.3, again format, and this time it's set to true, right? So then when you hear outside bar or trend change, it's coming from a little faster chart. 5 minutes is now getting to be kind of slow, since we're trying to improve the responsiveness, be a little quicker on those type of things, and so and that kind of plays into fast flex and ultra flex as well. So that's that. Sound set to true. I have VWAP on this one as well. I get VWAP on that one. I do show the conditions on it, but everything else is pretty much the same. I get the data from the 5-second chart so that it updates a little bit faster, and that one is the one that is the most accurate, since it grabs it every 5 seconds. So I get the data from memory on that one, and then I have multiple one moving average, just regular old moving averages, but kind of duplicate what we have on the 5-second chart. This one, since we're on the 2-minute instrument, right? This is the 2x200. This is the 2x20. Since I had to divide that too, this is the minute average, and it's not going to be as accurate as the 5-second chart, but it gives you an idea. And this was the midline, right? So that's the midline. So you can color those the same, right? So I'll just go through that quickly so you can see that on the 2x200 format style, right? Got it as the magenta, right? 2x20 format is cyan. You can do anything you want to. I'm just making it consistent. Moving average on 10, which would be equivalent to the minute average, is yellow. And the moving average close 50 is the same as the midline, right? And that's gray.
Outside bar.
Right. You can do anything you want to there. Make it bigger, smaller, anything you want to. So that's the change I made that I wanted to go over. Somebody had requested it to kind of go over it, and so it'll be in the beginning part of the video. Let me move that back and get it anchored back. Okay. All right, so let's kind of go through. Today was kind of an interesting day, and I traded for a while today, and I'll get into that in just a moment. But during the open, we have these typical kind of things going on. Here's the here's the open, and here's 633, kind of watching it, and let's see, didn't take any trades in here. Let me see, where did I trying to find my arrows. I mean, I see one here that I got out over here, but I know I took a trade. There it is. I took a trade here and got out. I don't think I got out till over here. So there's one trade, and there's 2 trades, right? And so I did okay, before Powell started speaking. Took a trade up in here, right? Got out. And then let's see, took a trade here, and this was during. I took a trade here too, and got out. And I think I was up at least 5 points before Powell started speaking. Now this one was probably bad decision. One, right? I had already taken several trades in this direction. It was going in the direction. It was trying to make new highs, but it was in this relatively unreliable kind of time frame. So 648. So I got into this trade. I had added to it here when probably should not have. So I'm still doing it, and it's kind of breaking down. So at this point, and I added to it one more time. So I've got 3, right? And I'm under fast flex, so it's probably a bad idea. So I did end up reversing, right? Even though it was, still during coffee break time, and and so then kind of fooled around, and then it kind of came coming back down underneath after it scared me here a little bit. It came back underneath fast flex and the minute average, or not the minute average, but the fast flex and ultra flex. I added to it, and then got out down here, right around the 2x20. So but this was probably, I mean, not probably, that was pushing it too much at that particular time frame. All right, so I'll get into a little bit more of that a little bit later on what I want to be looking for. Let's see, I see a trade here, right, that I got into after the 7 o'clock time frame. Got out over here, and again, I think I was up pretty good at that particular point in time and didn't trade any of these, but there was definitely some good trades here, and I'll come back and go through those. Ended up, I don't know what I was doing in here. Maybe I had to take a little break. Got in very late, way down here, right? And we're underneath the zone, so kind of stuck with it. Added to it here, and got out here. So that was a good trade. Got into here and out there. So kind of adding to profits. And then let's see. Oh, here's another pretty questionable entry. One thing is Powell is actually testifying in this time frame, and this is when he said something over here. So I don't think I'm going to be trading during his testimony tomorrow. This was a little bit scary. I had to reverse and get out at a pretty big move. All right, so this is a little bit worrisome here, right? So it's one of those breakout kind of things. Even though it has been coming up, right? It's one of those breakout things. Is barely over the 25% upper line. So I added to it but it still wouldn't quite go, and then held it down to the volume point of control. Added to it again, right? So this is like holding 3 here, and then didn't quite get out. I needed, since I started up here. Oh no, hang on. So this is hey, it's going in the wrong direction. Even I added to it here, so I've got a 4 here, right? During a Powell testimony, not a good idea. So I reversed short, right, somewhere around there, and it didn't go at all. And then it went crazy, right? So I reversed long right about here, right? And then it pulled back a little bit and then shot up. Luckily, right? So I got out up in this time frame, up in that area, and got the profit back. But that was scary. It even went up much further than that, but still a little bit scary. And I thought the Powell testimony was going to be a little bit more calm than that, but they did react quite a bit. So that might have been my last trade. No, I traded a little bit more. So here's another trade, and out over here, right? I wasn't trading much at this particular point. I didn't trade for some time, but I will kind of go back through and kind of highlight some things that I'm definitely looking at now, and I practiced it this afternoon. Looks like I took a trade here a little bit later. I think I was taking these on my own, so I was practicing a little bit on an idea that I get into. Took a trade here, both of them got out. So I think I was kind of quiet. Took a trade here off of the fast flex, right? So that one worked. and then I think that was okay. So that was the end of my morning trading, but I continued to trade and actually trade quite a bit. You know, I certainly took my breaks and that kind of stuff. But interesting, I ended up with, this is net. I ended up with over 70 points net. Traded quite a bit, right? And traded for, you know, longer than I normally do. I don't have a recent recollection of beating net profit by 71 points. Maybe I have, but I don't think so. Maybe not. Not at least a long time, if that's the case. So let me go back, and it's more difficult in the morning. Let me go. I didn't mark any of what I'm looking for here, but let's kind of go through some of the areas that I'm now kind of interested in, and we've talked about it, right? And basically, it's getting fast flex and ultra flex lined up, and I'm just randomly picking an area, and we'll kind of go through to see what it was. I mean, so fast ultra flex is off here, fast flex is here. It's a little bit of a big of a separation, right? I kind of prefer when fast flex has already come underneath and is starting to make a move. So here's the 2-minute average. So this area is a little bit interesting, right? Even though it's not hitting it with volume, you can see it did kind of move down. This area is also interesting, right? Maybe you could have taken that trade during that move down, right? Because it's now underneath fast flex, underneath ultra flex, and running away from the 2-minute close. That one's interesting. Then you have to kind of like let it settle out a little bit, right? So settling out, settling out, settling out, and then it starts to get into the same direction, right? The kind of rolling over here, and now underneath the minute average, right? And that's a pretty good trade. And then, right, if you probably got out here, right, it kind of goes sideways, right, back right here, right at ultra flex and fast flex, right? So, and that goes down. So that's kind of some of the things I'm looking at, and it's some of the things that I traded today. Now, you know, here, right, we had a 2-bar combination. But even here, right, we're running away from the 2-minute down close back up towards the minute average. I know we're in the zone, but it's kind of, look at the good bars here, right? We had a 2-bar combination here, here. So, and then back above R1. So maybe somewhere in here, right, you know, you got enough room to get out before you get to the minute average, right? And then it kind of pulls back again. Right, so you could have gotten out there, pulls back to Ultraflex, and you will see this. I mean, just take a look at your charts. You will see this, right? And they hit it. Now, you know, for me, I would, you know, and this is what I did most. I wasn't trading it right at this point in time. I would kind of like let it prove itself a little bit. I want to see some consistent up bars, but as you can see, anywhere in here would have got a nice response. You had to have been watching it a little bit because it's kind of going sideways and got a little bit under Ultraflex. So let's keep looking. Right, so nothing too bad, you know, going on here. But minute average holds, right? Now we're above Ultraflex, we're above Fast Flex. We're getting a 2-bar combination. It's even pretty close to the all session high, and up it went. Right, here's, we've rolled over, right? Now, here's going to be a little bit more of an aggressive trade, but I was doing it today, and I was doing okay. Right, here's the two close 2-minute closes, right, up at the top. Right, the market has slowed down. We're underneath the Ultraflex and underneath the Fast Flex as well. Now, I mean, sometimes we would have said, if we're going to be aggressive, go in there, right? But what I have noticed is it's a little bit more relaxing if you just kind of like be patient and wait till it goes sideways a little bit until it gets back to Ultraflex, right? And then maybe take the trade. So you could have taken the trade in here, and or even here, right, on, because you're getting volume through here, right, and then down it comes, right. Now, so when there's a wide space between ultraflex, right, then you need to be more cautious about if it's not going in nicely in a particular direction. All right, so let's continue. This is not really doing too much here, and things aren't really aligned too well. It's still not too aligned too terribly well. Um, and here you maybe, I mean, you see it kind of went sideways, and here you would have had to probably get it during this bar to get out immediately, right? But ultimately, right, it kind of went sideways, it never did anything bad. And then sometimes, right, I don't freak out if it goes over ultraflex a little bit, right? Because I've got, in theory, I've got the two bar close not too far behind me, and the fast flex as well, right? So even if, let's say I got a bad entry, let's use this as an example. Let's say I got in too late, and I did that once or twice today. If I see this, right, and it's coming back down here on this kind of a volume, still coming back under fast flex, then I might add to it and get out over here, right? You would have been needed to do that, but I have done that today in the afternoon. Here, there's still, for me, there's still too much room between that and both price action, I mean, for here, and a increasing fast flex. So that's kind of questionable. To definitely more aggressive. Here things are getting a little bit clearer, right? So minute average is holding pretty good slam down here. This is also kind of going into the 9 o'clock time frame, which isn't necessarily great. But here things are lining up better, right? So we're back above the 2x20, right? Minute fast flex is going up, ultra flex is going up. We're back over yesterday's high, and that's a pretty easy one. This one is just fast, right? It is kind of, it is kind of a slam down. It is under both of the flexes, both of the flexes, and getting a pretty good slam down. I'm not necessarily worrying too much if it's looking really strong, if it's getting a lot of volume, right, about penetrating the zone or not, right? As long as it's looking pretty good, all the flexes are working out, then I'm, I was doing okay. And if not, right, I'm still pretty close to fast flexes. I could do go the other way. In here, right? So it kind of bottomed. It's running away from the the 2 minute close, but right, it's just things aren't aligned. So it's still kind of going to going sideways, right? It is ultraflex is still going up here, but here would be the interesting area, right? It's still kind of it tested. I mean, look at your charts when it seems it's kind of aligned and it pulls back to ultraflex, right? That's when they're probably the big guys' algorithms are hitting this. I mean, that's really the only explanation, right? When it's going through, right? And so that would have been good trade. You would have probably got out somewhere depending on where your entry point, some in here, right? And then they kind of did it again, right? And then upshot it again. So that's kind of the idea. I practiced it this afternoon a lot, right? And so I think it's a little bit easier to read in the afternoon than it is first thing in the morning. Like for instance here, right? So 2 minute close here, right? The flexes are definitely coming down. A high here, a lower high here, a lower high here, right? So 3 lower highs, and it's rolling over, right? They're heating it. So in this case, the minute average would not scare me too much, right? In terms of it holding, I mean, I'd take my shot, right? And look at it came down. So that would have been one good trade, right? It kind of came down. I don't know about this because this was going into yesterday's high. probably would have waited until over here, right, when it had broken it, and then it started hitting again, right, coming down to the midline. So a lot more trading can be done. I'm thinking about that. But again, the first key is ultra flex, fast flex, and 2 minute close, trying to get things going in the right direction, and then then you kind of have to judge what it's running into, right? So that's all pretty good. I mean, it worked very well today. Yeah, I mean, I was trading. Sometimes I had to add to it. I don't know if I reversed too much in the afternoon, but I did add to it some. Um, it's kind of hard, and I'm going to practice it some more, but it's kind of hard to argue with the 71 net day profit. So that's pretty outstanding. So, but I'm going to be trying to see how consistent it is. Different days might be different, but there's as long as we don't wait too long, and that's kind of, I think, one of my problems. Sometimes I wait too long for entries, right? I'm not quite aggressive enough on the entries, and then sometimes I kind of get that really late trade, and it bounces even more, right? Thanks. Um, but and I think as long as I'm taking trades early enough in the cycle, don't take too many trades in the same direction. I think this is can do pretty well. I just have to kind of watch it in the early morning, knowing that I can trade a little bit later. Still think about that, and take some of these better trades, add to profits, and not push it maybe quite as much in the morning, especially not during things like Powell testimonies, right? And if it's not moving very well during coffee break time, for instance, or right after 7 o'clock. Um, so there will be times when things are looking pretty good there, but it won't be all the time, right? So tomorrow Powell will be testifying again, and I will probably lay off sometime after 7 o'clock. We do have some 6:45 news tomorrow as well, but the market may be moving because we've got unemployment news coming in at 5:30 tomorrow as well. All right, any questions on that? One thing I noticed is I tried to draw some boxes. It won't draw a box, for instance, over the top of the shades. That's why I was kind of doing some circles around these things. So I had to do some yellow circles around these things going forward, because the shades and the zones, it won't let me put a box that you can see. I mean, it probably drew a box, but it's underneath. It's underneath the boxes or the zones. All right. Any questions? Is that kind of clear on what I'm looking at? I mean, making sure it's getting it relatively soon, right after fast flex and ultra flex are lining up, and hopefully also running away from a 2-minute close. Did you guys kind of, did I explain that well enough? I'm sure, it'll, over time, it'll become somewhat clearer. Okay, good. Yes, go ahead, Sean. You can call me after I let me get the video running. So give me 5 minutes after we're done, and then give me a call. Okay, folks. Let me
outside bar.
Let me get this thing processing, and we will see you guys in the trading room tomorrow. But remember, Powell is testifying again tomorrow. All right, have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow morning.